Three, two, red, one.
In this segment, we're shifting perspectives a little bit. So often when we talk about LED walls, it's from the engineer's point of view, right? How to design it, spec it, and install it. But today's story is a little bit different. At Portland State University's School of Film, a new LED wall, just about 10 by 5 feet, has completely transformed a shared student space. It's not the biggest LED wall we've featured by any stretch, but the impact has been incredible. Instead of just being a screen, it's become a tool for communication, creativity, and community. Joining me today is Autumn Joele, office assistant at the Portland State School of Film, who's been leading that transformation, turning the technology into an experience. Autumn, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Let's set the stage, no pun intended. You've been managing communications for the School of Film for a while now, and can you start by describing what the role involves and how you were traditionally reaching students and faculty? I mean, was it things like newsletters and social media or events?
Yeah, absolutely. So a big part of my role is getting information that students need to know to them. And when I first came in, we were doing that mainly through our weekly email newsletter, our Instagram, and then our few physical bulletin boards that we have in the building that we have our classes in. And then right around the time I was coming in, we got the LED wall.
When you learned that the LED wall was being added to the building, what were those first conversations like? Did you start thinking about ways your department could make it more meaningful?
Absolutely. So it was replacing what was there before, which was an analog bulletin board, which we had been using to put, printed flyers or just text on printer paper. Originally we were kind of thinking along those same lines since it was going the same place, how do we display text and flyers? But pretty quickly we realized the potential for video was going to be huge for a film department. So one of the favorite ideas we picked right away was displaying a reel of student work. And that has stuck on the wall since it went up because people really, really loved it. The building is also used for screenings and other events that bring people who are outside of the campus community in. And we realized since it was so eye-catching, that would be a great way to promote things like the opportunity to donate or contribute to the program. So we have included QR codes and really quick ways to kind of grab people and let them figure out more about our program and contribute if they want to.
Well, you've mentioned that there's, several things that you're displaying on there. So obviously you're curating what appears on the screen. So what does that process look like? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people want to get their content on that wall. So how are you kind of handling the creation of the content and then getting it to the wall?
Yeah, so a lot of my assignments come to me from like professors or the director of the department deciding what they want to promote to students and also what kind of information for students, kind of in the weeds, some things about registration or classes coming up. But important information that we want to make sure that they are not unaware of because, that kind of confusion can be really frustrating, but it can be hard to get people's attention. So it's a lot of taking sort of information that sounds boring but is necessary and then turning it into something that is eye-catching and communicates how important it's going to be to students walking by. So a lot of that I'll do in Canva. I'll take text that I'm given from professors or my supervisor and try to turn it into a flyer that when a student walks by and sees it on the wall, they're gonna want to take a second to read it and get the information they need.
Of all the things you've displayed on the wall, obviously doing something that works better on a large format monitor is going to be more eye-catching. So can you give us an example of maybe a project or media that went on there that took advantage of that large space to really grab people's attention?
Yeah, I would say, definitely our reel that we have of student work that comes up. Being able to see their work on the big screen is something that students come in and talk about all the time that they're really excited about. And then we've even just had the whole screen taken over by like one film for, a day or whatever, because we're just so excited about, something, an award it won, or it's, a student's new project that it's really great. And I think having it on such a large, bright space really gives people a sense of pride about it and kind of communicates how proud, the school is of them. Another segment I like to include on the LED wall is a list of movies that are playing in Portland this week. And I think that kind of grabs people definitely walking by. I hear people talking about like, oh, I want to go see that. And I think especially for film students, it's kind of a fun way to remind them, hey, we all have this common interest and maybe I'll see you there. And yeah, kind of bring people into the local community of film.
So I also know that you've been planning some events that integrate the LED walls. So it's not just for show, it's actually being used as part of a presentation or a gathering. Can you give us some ideas or examples of how that's being used in those gatherings?
Yeah, so our media board is located in a little bit of an awkward spot in the building for hosting events, but it has a lot of potential, I think, for some of the things that we've been talking about are like screenings. Obviously, we're a film school, so film screenings would be really fun. PowerPoint presentation style things, especially, to catch people kind of going by, walking to class or whatever. And then we even talked about like doing a staff game night. And yeah, so it definitely has a lot of potential for fun and kind of you know, walk-in events being in the hallway. Yeah,
It sounds like that the LED wall has kind of changed the sense of community around the School of Film. How do you hope to increase that in the future utilizing this technology?
for sure. I think going forward, we're always kind of trying to figure out the most efficient way to use how attention grabbing it is. So, but also balancing that with things that are more like fun, like the student reel, that's not necessarily important information that students need to know, but it is one of those sense of community building things that is just as important. So yeah, we're always kind of teasing out and weeding out what is kind of like deserving of the media board presence. And going forward, we just try to kind of narrow it down and add in things that make more sense.
I absolutely love the examples you shared because it shows that the innovation isn't just about scale, right? It's about creativity and then connection to the community. What you and your team done have kind of proves that even a modest installation, right, 10 by 5, can completely change how people engage in that space. So, Autumn, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.